Hello and welcome to this episode of the Recruitment Podcast, where we celebrate academic recruitment and bring education to everyone. Today, we're diving into quiet hiring, a trend that's been reshaping how organizations are approaching talent acquisition. And it has some very specific implications for those of us in higher education.
It's definitely a shift. Yeah, a shift in the talent landscape. And understanding its nuances is crucial for HR professionals in academia.
Absolutely. To start, can we define what quiet hiring actually means in a practical sense?
Essentially, it's about fulfilling talent needs without creating those new full-time positions. Think about it. Using contract workers, freelancers, or even restructuring the roles of existing staff to address specific skill gaps.
So rather than automatically launching a search for a new tenure-track professor, a department might consider bringing in a visiting scholar for a semester to teach a specialized course.
Exactly. Or imagine a scenario where a university needs expertise in, say, developing a new fundraising campaign. Instead of hiring a full-time development officer, they might engage a fundraising consultant on a short-term contract.
That makes a lot of sense in terms of flexibility and cost effectiveness, especially given the budget constraints so many universities face.
Hmm.
But I'm wondering how this trend plays out differently within a university compared to a corporate setting.
Universities have unique needs and considerations. For example, external quiet hiring in academia often involves tapping into a network of highly specialized experts, researchers, scholars, or even artists who might not be seeking traditional employment.
Right, finding someone with a very specific research niche or unique pedagogical approach could be a challenge through traditional recruitment methods.
Precisely. And internally, quiet hiring in higher education can mean rethinking faculty workloads, encouraging cross-departmental collaboration, or even creating opportunities for staff to take on new responsibilities that align with their professional goals.
So it's about optimizing the talent you already have and being creative about accessing expertise from outside the institution when needed. This all sounds great in theory, but I'm sure there are potential pitfalls to be aware of.
Absolutely. One key concern is the potential impact on employee morale. If existing staff feel like their roles are constantly being redefined, or that they're being asked to take on more work without adequate compensation or recognition, it could lead to burnout and turnover.
And that's especially sensitive in academia, where job security and career pathways are often top of mind for faculty and staff.
That's why communication is absolutely crucial. Universities that are considering implementing quiet hiring strategies need to be transparent with their employees about the rationale behind these decisions.
So how can HR professionals in higher education go about communicating these changes effectively? What are some practical strategies?
For internal quiet hiring, it's about framing these shifts as opportunities for growth and development. Highlighting how these new responsibilities can help staff build their resumes, gain new skills, or contribute to the institution in a meaningful way can go a long way.
It's about presenting it as a win-win situation, where the institution gets the expertise it needs and employees get a chance to expand their horizons.
Exactly. And for external quiet hiring, it's important to be clear with existing employees that these short-term contracts are not meant to replace permanent positions.
I imagine this requires a lot of open communication town halls and maybe even some departmental meetings to really address people's concerns and explain how these changes will benefit everyone.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that quiet hiring shouldn't be viewed as a cost-cutting measure alone. It needs to be part of a larger strategic approach to talent management.
So if a university is thinking about incorporating quiet hiring into its recruitment strategies, what are some specific steps they can take to make sure it's done effectively and ethically?
The first step is to clearly define the institution's goals for quiet hiring. What specific talent needs are they trying to address? What are the anticipated benefits, and what are the potential risks?
It sounds like this initial planning phase is all about getting everyone on the same page and making sure that quiet hiring aligns with the institution's overall mission and values.
Exactly. Once those goals are established, the next step is to carefully assess the existing workforce. Are there any internal candidates who could be tapped for these new responsibilities? Are there opportunities for professional development or training that could help prepare existing staff for these roles?
This seems particularly relevant in higher education, where many faculty and staff are already engaged in ongoing research or professional development activities. It's about identifying those existing strengths and finding ways to leverage them effectively.
Precisely. And once those internal possibilities have been explored, it's time to start thinking about external options. This involves cultivating strong relationships with potential external hires within academia, attending conferences, engaging with professional organizations. Building those networks is critical.
And I imagine that universities with their existing connections to alumni networks and professional associations already have a head start in this area.
They do. But it's about being strategic and intentional about those connections, not just relying on them passively. Now, once a university has identified potential candidates, whether internal or external, the next step is to be crystal clear about expectations.
Especially when it comes to contract work.
Yes, the
Yeah.
scope of work, the deliverables, the timeline, the compensation, all of these details need to be clearly outlined in a written agreement.
This not only protects both the institution and the individual, but also helps to ensure that everyone is on the same page from the outset, which can prevent misunderstandings and conflicts down the road.
Exactly. And finally, it's important to provide all hires, regardless of their employment status, with the resources and support they need to be successful.
What might that look like in practice?
It could involve providing access to online platforms, library resources, professional development opportunities, even something as simple as a university email address. It's about creating an inclusive and welcoming environment that values the contributions of all employees, whether they're on a full-time contract or a short-term project.
And that sense of inclusion and belonging can go a long way in attracting and retaining top talent, which is ultimately what every university wants. So it seems like quiet hiring, while presenting some challenges, also offers some exciting possibilities for higher education.
It does. But successfully navigating this trend requires careful planning, transparent communication, and a commitment to creating a workplace where everyone feels valued and supported.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here, from defining quiet hiring to exploring its implications for higher education and highlighting best practices for implementation. It's clear this is a trend that HR professionals and academia need to understand and embrace. But there's more to unpack, so let's take a quick pause here and come back to delve into some more specific examples and potential challenges.
Quiet hiring certainly has the potential to reshape the landscape of academic recruitment.
We've discussed the benefits and potential challenges of quiet hiring, but I'd love to delve deeper into specific examples of how this might play out in various departments within a university.
Let's consider a university's research department facing a sudden surge in grant applications.
A scenario many of our listeners in research administration can relate to, I'm sure.
Instead of hastily hiring a full-time grant writer, they could utilize quiet hiring by bringing in a freelance grant writing specialist for a defined period.
That would allow them to meet the immediate need without committing to a long-term position.
Precisely. Similarly, in academic departments, quiet hiring could be used to address fluctuations in student enrollment.
So if a department experiences unexpected high enrollment in a specialized course, they could consider hiring an adjunct professor on a semester-by-semester basis.
That not only provides flexibility, but also allows the department to offer a wider range of courses without exceeding their budget constraints.
This approach could also be beneficial for student services departments.
Absolutely. For instance, if a university is launching a new initiative focused on student mental health, they might engage a contract counselor or therapist to provide specialized support for a specific duration.
This allows the university to respond to emerging student needs in a timely and efficient manner.
And it also provides opportunities for experienced professionals to contribute their expertise to higher education without necessarily seeking a full-time academic role.
This all sounds promising, but I imagine there are challenges unique to implementing quiet hiring in higher education.
One key challenge is ensuring that contract workers are fully integrated into the university community.
Especially in academia, where collaboration and a sense of belonging are so crucial.
Exactly. It's important for universities to provide these individuals with access to resources like library privileges, online platforms, and even faculty lounges.
These seemingly small gestures can make a big difference in helping contract workers feel like valued members of the institution.
Another challenge is managing expectations. With contract work, it's crucial to establish clear deliverables, timelines, and communication channels from the outset.
This is particularly important in academia, where research projects can be long-term and may evolve in unexpected ways.
Regular check-ins, clear feedback mechanisms, and a willingness to adapt to changing circumstances are essential for success.
And what about the potential impact on career pathways within academia? Could quiet hiring create a two-tiered system where contract workers are seen as less valued than their full-time counterparts?
That's a valid concern, and it highlights the importance of transparency and equitable treatment. Universities need to be mindful of the potential for creating a divide between full-time employees and contract workers.
So how can universities mitigate this risk?
By providing opportunities for professional development and advancement to all employees regardless of their employment status.
This could involve offering workshops, training programs, or even mentorship opportunities to contract workers, allowing them to enhance their skills and expand their networks within academia.
It's about recognizing that talent and potential come in various forms and creating an inclusive environment where everyone has the opportunity to contribute and grow.
These are all crucial considerations for HR professionals and university leaders who are exploring the potential of quiet hiring.
Indeed. While quiet hiring offers a dynamic and adaptable approach to talent acquisition, it also requires careful planning and execution to ensure its benefits are fully realized while mitigating potential risks.
So we've examined specific examples of quiet hiring in action and explored some of the unique challenges it presents in higher education. But before we wrap up, I'd like to touch on the legal and ethical considerations that come into play.
Of course. From a legal standpoint, universities need to ensure that all contracts with external hires are compliant with labor laws and university policies.
This includes properly classifying workers, adhering to wage and hour regulations, and providing appropriate benefits.
And ethically, it's crucial to avoid exploiting contract workers or creating a system where they are denied opportunities for advancement or recognition simply because they are not on the traditional tenure track.
It's about treating all individuals with respect and fairness, regardless of their employment status.
Precisely. Quiet hiring can be a valuable tool for universities, but it should be implemented with careful consideration of both its legal and ethical implications.
This brings us to the heart of the matter for our listeners working in higher education, HR, and recruitment.
What are the key takeaways they can apply to their own institutions?
That's a great question. Let's transition into those actionable insights in our next segment.
For HR professionals in higher education, quiet hiring presents a new set of considerations.
It's certainly a shift in how we might need to approach talent acquisition and management.
One key takeaway is the importance of strategic workforce planning.
So before even considering quiet hiring, universities need to have a clear understanding of their long-term goals and how talent needs fit into those objectives.
Exactly. Quiet hiring shouldn't be a reactive measure, but rather a deliberate strategy aligned with the institution's overall mission.
I can see how that would help avoid potential pitfalls, like creating a two-tiered workforce or undermining the morale of existing employees.
Another crucial takeaway is the need for transparent and proactive communication.
This applies to both internal and external quiet hiring, right?
Absolutely. HR departments need to clearly communicate with existing staff about why quiet hiring is being implemented, how it will benefit the institution, and how it might impact their roles.
And for external hires, ensuring that they understand the scope of their work, their role within the university community, and the resources available to them is equally important.
Yes. Fostering a sense of inclusion and belonging is crucial even for those on short-term contracts.
This all points to the need for HR professionals to be skilled communicators and relationship builders.
Indeed, quiet hiring requires a more nuanced approach to talent management, one that emphasizes open dialogue, active listening, and a genuine understanding of the needs and concerns of all employees.
It seems like quiet hiring is not just about filling positions, but about cultivating a thriving and adaptable workforce.
Precisely. And that requires HR to think beyond traditional recruitment methods and embrace a more holistic view of talent.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into quiet hiring, what's the most crucial piece of advice you would give to HR professionals in higher education who are considering adopting this approach?
I would say proceed with intentionality and a deep understanding of your institutional context. Quiet hiring is a powerful tool, but like any tool, it needs to be used wisely and ethically.
It's about finding the right balance between flexibility and stability, between meeting immediate needs and nurturing long-term talent.
And never losing sight of the human element, the individuals whose contributions make higher education possible.
Well said. Quiet hiring offers both opportunities and challenges for those of us in higher education recruitment. But by approaching it thoughtfully and strategically, we can harness its potential to create a more agile and resilient workforce. And remember, for all of you seeking opportunities in higher education, whether you're looking for a full-time position or a chance to contribute your expertise on a project basis, be sure to check out academicjobs.com. You'll find a wide range of listings across all areas of academia. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Recruitment Podcast, where we celebrate academic recruitment and bring education to everyone. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep those applications coming.